a frigid December morning in 1995, the body of 17-year-old Krystal Beslanowitch was found along the banks of the Provo River in Utah. Her naked body was partially submerged in the icy water, her skull crushed by a granite river rock. She had only recently arrived in Utah from Montana and had been living in Salt Lake City while working as a sex worker. Her murder shocked the community, but despite an extensive investigation, the case went cold. Dozens of suspects were questioned, but none were charged. Krystal had last been seen alive on State Street in Salt Lake City, getting into a car. That small clue would not be enough to bring her killer to justice for nearly 2 decades. At the time, DNA technology was not advanced enough to gather evidence from the porous surface of the rock used to kill her. For years, the case sat unsolved, and her family lived with the torment of unanswered questions. Krystal was remembered as a bright, artistic girl who had fallen on hard times, but was trying to get her life back on track. Investigators refused to give up on the case, and advances in forensic technology would eventually provide the break they needed. In 2013, forensic detectives with the Utah Cold Case Coalition used a new tool called a forensic vacuum device to extract DNA from the murder weapon. The rock that had been preserved for 18 years finally yielded a full male DNA profile. That profile was run through the national database and resulted in a hit. The DNA matched Joseph Michael Simpson, a former Florida resident who had worked as a security guard in Salt Lake City in the mid-1990s. He had a criminal record that included violent offenses and had since moved back to Florida. At the time of Krystal's murder, Simpson had lived not far from the area where her body was found. Detectives traveled to Florida and obtained a new DNA sample from Simpson using a discarded cigarette. It confirmed the match to the DNA on the murder weapon. He was arrested in 2013 and extradited to Utah to stand trial. At trial, prosecutors presented the overwhelming forensic evidence. The DNA on the murder weapon was a match, and Simpson had no alibi for the night Krystal was killed. Though he denied involvement, the jury took little time to reach a verdict. In 2016, Simpson was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without parole. The courtroom was filled with Krystal's relatives, who had waited more than 20 years to see justice served. They wept as the verdict was read. Krystal's mother told reporters that while nothing could bring her daughter back, knowing her killer was finally held accountable brought a measure of peace.